So let's bring in former Trump senior advisor Christian Whiton live from Colorado. Christian, great to see you as always. So just give us your thoughts on where are we at the very moment. Is Donald Trump up to beating? Can he beat Kamala Harris? Will Kamala Harris implode? What's your take?
Oh, I think so. You know, this was a big rollout of Kamala, and a lot of the public wasn't all that familiar with her, even though she has been vice president. And almost all of the media, including media that sometimes would lean a little bit right, was just effusive in praise and so happy that Joe was out and Kamala was in. And despite that wall-to-wall coverage of positive pro-Kamala press, if you look at the polls, they only tightened a little bit. And in swing states, they really don't look good for the Democrats. As time goes by, you know, questions about why she won't take real questions from reporters. That's pretty odd because most of these reporters are very pro-Democrat. If she actually does get into a debate with Donald Trump, probably isn't going to do good because she's never really had an adversarial situation. You know, the big thing coming up will be her choice of vice president. That often doesn't make a huge difference in a presidential race, but it is sort of viewed as your first big decision as a candidate on the national stage. So we'll see if she gets a bump from that in the Democratic convention. But ultimately, I don't think it will be hard for Trump to tie her to out of control inflation and a terrible foreign policy.
Well, I tell you, I'm devastated we're not going to see a Kamala J.D. Vance debate because that would have been, my gosh. But she is refusing to accept this invitation to debate Donald Trump in front of a live audience. She wants the old conditions that Biden got, that Trump agreed to. When are we going to see a debate, and are they going to ever agree to terms? Because she wants the no audience, ABC moderating. Trump wants an audience, and he wants Fox News to be broadcasting it. So how are they going to meet in the middle?
All right, well, Trump is also engaged again in litigation against ABC for libel and one of its top political guys, George Stephanopoulos. So I don't see them coming to agreement on that. He hasn't mentioned that much, but that's got to be a factor. As for Fox, I don't know why Harris is concerned. Fox is, of course, viewed as a center-right. Certainly, you'll see more conservative voices on Fox than you will on CNN or MSNBC here in the United States. But the two debate moderators who are proposed are considered very fair and frankly would throw some hardballs at Donald Trump. So I think Kamala Harris, they're trying to pull a Biden. They're trying to see if she can pull ahead in the polls with the help of the media and by not exposing herself to the public except in very careful circumstances. But if the polls aren't looking good, I think that will push her out of desperation to accept a debate. I think we probably will see one after all.
James?
And how do you make the way the media has been just relentlessly, they've decided to focus on J.D. Vance, I think, almost more than Donald Trump. The whole idea of, you know, the cat lady comments and things like that, which I think a lot of people understood the context in which he was talking about. But they seem to be using this as a way to activate young, urban, affluent, liberal females. And is this strategy... how is the strategy going to play out there in broader America, or more middle America is going to say, well, there's kind of something more going on here?
Yeah, I think it's not gonna hurt. I mean, as far as vice presidential candidates who've been a net drag on their tickets, well, Kamala Harris is one of them. Dan Quayle with George Bush in 1988, and Sarah Palin in 2008. It's debated, but a lot of people think she may have been a drag. I personally think she actually excited the base more. It's not going to make a big difference. I don't think it sticks because once you actually watch J.D. Vance, you see he's quite reasonable. You see he's a family man, and that's what he was talking about. And that sort of embittered urban.
I'll just interrupt you there, Christian. We'll just have a quick play of that drab. So just have a listen exactly what you're talking about. Here's J.D. Vance responding to some of those allegations. Here you go.
The former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
they don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
So a superbly professional response there,
Ooh,
Christian. Your
yeah.
thoughts?
Very good.
Yeah, well, it's a good pivot. I've coached people on making pivots like that. So you take a question that may not be advantageous to you and turn it into what you want to talk about. Let's say if I were advising Trump, I don't know if I would have come up with the idea of talking about Harris's background. Her mother is from India, her father's from Jamaica. But on the other hand, this is what the Democrats do. Everything is based on race. Kamala's rollout, I mean, they had sort of a dozen different Zoom calls with various ethnic groups, including white dudes for Harris. It was very weird. And so to sort of undermine that, to signal that you're not going to be afraid of the Aggrieved Black Woman Act, which the American people, I think, have never been on board with, going way back to 1991 when it was Clarence Thomas versus, he was Supreme Court nominee, versus lying Anita Hill. The public overwhelmingly supported Thomas and overwhelmingly wanted him confirmed, which he was confirmed. So I think a little bit of a display of fearlessness here is fine. But yes, ultimately, people are really furious about inflation, and they see America losing on the world stage, and they see the crime in the city. So as quickly as they can get back to those issues, I hope they do.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, the Trump campaign needs to focus surely on those sorts of hard issues, because at the moment it feels to me like Kamala Harris is this sort of blank canvas, and everybody's allowed to project on her what they want, because there hasn't been, we know because we watch the stuff all the time, what her true progressive positions are. But most people just kind of see her as this kind of compassionate, progressive sort of person who has kind of a Gen Z millennial mentality despite being 59. Is that a danger, though, for the Trump camp?
It is. I'd say it's a serious danger. And if you look, the Democrats have done this before because their national figures generally are disliked by the public. So Jimmy Carter in 1980 was an unknown governor from the state of Georgia who was seen potentially as moderate, governed as a liberal. Bill Clinton was a moderate former attorney general governor from Arkansas. And even Michael Dukakis, who came from liberal Massachusetts, was seen as this potential breath of fresh air. At one point, he led by double digits against then Vice President George H.W. Bush. But I think there's still enough time to define Harris for what she really is. And also the American people very, I think, attuned to the exodus of people and businesses from the state of California. Chevron, the big oil company, just announced it's moving its headquarters from there to Texas. And so to paint her as a San Francisco liberal, and Trump does have this ability, even without Twitter, just because of the force of his personality and different social media, to blast through that media that's against him and reach the people. And you're also, I think, seeing this in just the lack of enthusiasm among younger voters for first for Biden and for Harris. You don't see any bumper stickers. You don't see any outward signs of excitement. So I think that could be, decisive.
Christian, always great to chat to you. Thank you so much for coming on Outside